Okay, so last week we trophied 2 leagues in a go, 2 leagues in a row with Rakdos Dreadhorde Arcanist, playing Arena of Glory to haste our Dreadhorde Arcanist, haste our fear of missing outs, haste Kroxa. Kroxa was a big, surprisingly good card in the deck. Obviously, it's not as good as Flage, but it's still a Titan in your Arena of Glory deck. And it was performing enough. I wanted to play the second copy over Arcanist number 4 because you don't really want to draw two Dreadhorde Arcanists too often. But I know this is not like a big change, big update, but this deck was just like one really exciting. At one point we were like 14-2 or something with the deck, and then we played Amptraptor, and I didn't like the Amptraptor build as much. So I just want to circle back to this one and grind it a little bit, just kind of see. What is this deck actually good and sick and underplayed, and y'all are silly for not picking it up, or did we get very lucky for like 16 matches? Okay, turn 1 Utopia Sprawl. Naming red. Go basic Swamp Thoughtseize here. Gonna have to be the command. Especially because the channeler is gonna be able to dodge the command. Oh, maybe. I'd have to get Delirium off the Cling. I was super close to top 4 of the deck last weekend. Awesome, cool. I'm glad some of you all picked it up, but you know, we did really well with this deck on Monday, and then by, you know, I left for Vegas. I didn't play this in a tournament. You know, I don't think a lot of people have maybe even seen it in action. We want to play the Arcanist, which lets us get the Kozilek's command too. Or sorry, Kozilek's return. Let me get the Moxfield up to date too. The Dreadhorde Arcanist is banned in Legacy. Oh, my opponent cast the Kozilek's return just to put it in the graveyard. So now my Cling to Dust is getting pretty juicy. Good googly moogly. I'm going to go ahead and Thoughtseize my opponent here. Despite them casting a Kozilek's return, that doesn't mean they didn't draw one of their big, expensive Eldrazi cards. And at the very least, we should be able to get a Surveil here. Notably, they can't cast Kozilek's command at this point, which is nice. Okay, so they drew another Kozilek's return. So why don't I go fetch a Surveil before I Cling to Dust? Because if I end up seeing like top card of like on top after all that is said and done here, then I'm gonna certainly wish that I had fetched first. Okay, so if I graveyard this Arena of Glory, I am not going to have Delirium because the Thoughtseize is not going to be in the yard. So I think I should just keep this on top for my Kroxa. Allow the Channeler to die. Now I have Delirium as this goes to the graveyard. I can flashback the Cling to Dust off of the Arcanist next turn, so that the K return isn't live, and then I can also play Kroxa. Him trying any double strike combat tricks in Cruel Claw, or just too risky. I mean, you have fear of missing out, which is kind of like a double strike combat trick, right? All right, so let's hide the Arena of Glory for this turn. Well, I guess I should have just drawn my card before I played my land. But my opponent's hand is an Eldrazi Temple and a Sanctum of Again. Oh, so they played the Temple. I mean, they must have just drawn it. Sorry, it should still be Temple Ugin, right? Did I add any edicts to the sideboard? Oh, sorry, I forgot I was gonna do that. Classic comeback for Vegas. We should add some. We'll do that for the next league. I was like staring at the list. I'm like, oh, looks good. Curious to see how this does against Energy Debir. I've been like beating both. It's like this formula of like our creatures just have like more toughness, and we can play Pyroclasm has just been a pretty good formula. Won't beat it every time, but I've been beating it more than we've been losing to it. So we're gonna probably play Tarfire, flashback Tarfire. I think we have lethal here, right? So they're at yeah, they're just dead to the Kroxa even without the Tarfire. Hasty Kroxa may not be as good as Flage, but it's still pretty good, and if you have reasons to be Rakdos, he gets the job done. Yeah, we tried Raptor over Arcanist, and just the problem with Raptor is it's like in this archetype, you have a very you want to be very intentional with your sequencing and your plans, and you just can't plan out turns with Raptor. And so like maybe if Ring gets banned and Bowmasters isn't like super mandatory card to play, you could still play it in the spot, but like you just don't have room for another 2-drop. I have not really missed it. Okay, so we're gonna bring in the Charmaws. We're gonna bring in a Needle. A second Needle is also something I was thinking we might want for the Blue Belcher matchup. Now that that's kind of coming back to me. Oh, sorry, I thought I updated the command here. Okay, I think I want to play like 1 maybe 0 heat. Heat is just not very good. I think I'm just gonna go way down on these burn spells. Needle is coming in for the ring. Maybe this could be red-white, Flage for Kroxa, stuff like Jolted Awake. Okay, well, if you're going to play red-white mid-range, you can play Boros Energy. You could play Arcanist with Jolted Awake, maybe, but it's like... At that point, you were just building Boros mid-range. The discard spells are also, like, super important for Arcanist. It's just, like, Arcanist is just not that good without them. Quite the hand. Okay, so we can Kozilek's command, or sorry, Inquisition the Kozilek's command, and then Thoughtseize either the Mycospawn or the ring. My opponent put another copy of Eldrazi Temple into their hand. It seems like I should, sorry. They actually get to Stone Rain me. Actually, I guess we actually take the... Do we actually take the Mycospawn? I don't know that I can beat the Mycospawn after they Stone Rain me. I do have Bowmaster for the ring. I mean, there's just a 20 life. I gotta take the ring. We can just draw land. What do you think about a Miser's copy of Claim Feed in this list? I mean, we've thought about it, we've talked about it, but I would kind of simply... There's not a single card in the stack I would rather play 1 copy of Claim Fame over. Yeah, they had 2 Kozilek's command in their opening hand. Arcanist is just so insane. Okay, and then they have a Woodland to copy Ring. They don't necessarily have a second green to actually do anything with that, but we're probably going to be cooked game 1 here. Or game 2, rather. Alright, so this doesn't let them ring. I guess they can... Oh yeah, they can't attack with the Emrakul either, but we are pretty behind this. And then this Talisman does get them there, and they'll be able to attack me for 13 in the air next turn. They had a very strong hand. Alright, dead to Shifting Woodland. Weird to be on this side of that. Should I play a Nihil Spellbomb? They're also playing Emrakul. I feel like 1 Nihil Spellbomb is probably better than like Tarfire number 3. Just to have an out. We haven't moved Cling to Dust too, I guess. Let's go. Okay, I like that we can cast a Thoughtseize on turn 2 here. They play any casino games. I did some blackjack and roulette. We ended up like $1,000. Exactly $1,000. Right, they revealed Devourer of Destiny. Go like Ghost Vacuum instead of Spellbomb. I think you could do a split. I think Spellbomb is generally better against Boros, and that's kind of just enough of a deciding factor for me, I guess. Opponent exiles a Ring Talisman, and then they find an Ugin's Lab to imprint their Devourer. That's a great draw, because I can see if they're going to draw a green source. They are not. So my opponent is going to be unable to cast anything next turn, so I don't think I need to Thoughtseize. I think I'll just discard the Needle. This gives me extra combat step. So if I draw a land next turn, I can go Haste Arcanist, Flashback Thoughtseize, Flashback one of these two. That's a pretty awkward one. So I think what I do is I main phase Cling. If I draw a land, which I failed to do, but if I drew a land in this spot, I would still just cast Arcanist without haste. Maybe I guess I should have just still cast the Arcanist. But then we wouldn't have had Delirium on the Fomo, and I wanna be able to untap the Charmaw and hit my opponent for 8 in the air. Tough to not find another land. So my opponent is gonna go Mycospawn into Rumble. They get a basic forest, which I notably can't kill with Charmaw. Wise. And they reveal a ring, an Emrakul, a Sprawl. They choose the ring. I just draw a Kroxa, which is not great. So if I hit my opponent for 8, they go down to 6, 5 off the ring. I think that that's probably going to have to be our plan, is to hit my opponent for 8 and then hope that they play their ring over their Mycospawn, which they probably will because they're going to be taking too much off the Charmaw probably. I'm going to hit their Ugin's Lap. And then if I can just draw a land for the Bowmasters, we should win, and I think that'll be okay. We've had like 7 looks at a land between like our draw steps, the Bauble, the Cling. I guess we do have a Raucous Theater, right? Do you think Jund Delirium is worth grinding? I think that deck's very good. I would recommend it. Have I considered playing Kitsa alongside Fomo? She can attack during both combat steps alongside whatever Fomo untaps. I mean, I haven't really thought about it. I mean, there's certainly something there. Okay, so we were on the play. So we're gonna have 4 draw steps, Cling to this. Okay, and the Fear of Missing Out. So this will be our 7th look at land number 2 in our. Double check the land count. Oh, only 19 land deck. We're playing 20. And that's why we missed here. We do get to play a 1-mana 6/7. We do get to have a Bowmaster available next turn. The problem is we know they have another Mycospawn and they can get rid of my Blood Crypt now. Yeah, the Cruel Claws were pretty good yesterday. Yeah, if we had been able to Bowmaster here, my opponent could go down to 2. It's pretty tough. I mean, I guess if they just kick a Mycospawn, they do lose to my Charmaw, so maybe I don't need to be too worried about that. Yeah, I guess I haven't. Yeah, my Clothless Shrine is even, like, it's right there. It's tilted. Maybe if I put it upright, we'll draw a land. Well, at this point, we don't care much about drawing a land unless they Mycospawn me. I'd kind of rather draw, like, a Charmaw, maybe? I don't know. Can they Emrakul here? Emrakul costs 9. They have 3, 4, 5, 6. So even with the double land, they'd be 1 short. There's a Utopia Sprawl. That part's probably pretty easy here. Did you name red? So is the plan to Kozilek's command my Charmaw, or to devour my Charmaw maybe? I use Commandeer, targeting counterspell and redirect counterspell to Commandeer. Yes. Okay, they do kick their Mycospawn. So now I guess, I mean, wait, what is their answer to my Charmaw, though? Do they only have 1 other ring? I mean, as far as we know, they don't have another ring in their hand. You don't always get play patterns. My opponent says, I'm an idiot whelp. Seems to be a good sign for me. All right, let's go. All right, I want to see if I would have drawn the land. Oh, yeah, again, this has not been working for me lately, the draw an extra card. Played wrong there. Should have done a normal spawn into Woodlands to copy Emrakul. To block with. It's pretty cool. Affinity, huh? Oh, what the fuck? Save the Bauble for the Channeler, I think. Although maybe I just want to get the Bowmaster down next turn. There might have been a reason to. I've already played this. What do you think of the new 7-drop Eldrazi with all the keywords? I'm not sure. I think that card is probably fine. I don't think I need to main phase the Bowmaster, because if my opponent has a affinity card, it's probably a card draw spell, so I don't want to like reduce their affinity. I'd rather them just cast it. I don't know. That card could be pretty nice. I think time will tell on that one. Nice. I'm just not sure if that's one that you want to play over Devourer, Breaker of Creation, these cards. It definitely could be. I just don't have a very strong opinion on it at the moment. All right, let's see what my top card is. It's another copy of Nethergoyf. We could get some extra value here. We could like surveil a Kroxa into the yard or something. So I'm just gonna shuffle that away. Just a Mire. Let's take a peek at their top card, which is a Springleaf Drum. We needed to surveil that into the yard, I guess. That's okay. Untap the Channeler. Oh my gosh, sorry. I probably should not have attacked with the Bowmaster. It might be okay, though. Just get that artifact countdown. Prince down to 9. Yeah, just draw another one. Easy peasy. Yeah, and then now also the, like, if they don't have another artifact this turn, they do, okay. The construct would not have been able to block my Orc army, but now I can maybe Bowmaster to have these trade, which would mean my opponent can't Shadow Spear me, which would be pretty ideal. Now I can Thoughtseize first. If my opponent only has one spell in their hand, they're dead to my Kroxa. I think you need some way to give it haste for it to be really good. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, the new 7-drop. I don't know, maybe it's... So, like, one thing is, I'm not really sure how Ward pay 7 life is going to play out. It could end up being just, like, this really punishing, like, really crazy, really powerful play. It could end up being just, like, not. It could just be kind of mid. So, yeah, I guess I would say I'm having a hard time evaluating, like, that aspect of the card. Is the new Kiora good? I don't know. I think the new Kiora she's got potential. We're gonna play her. She has too much synergy with Arena of Glory and Detective's Phoenix, I think, for us to not give it a go. Oh, sorry. I even like in my brain said I'm going to target my opponent, and then I've even just missed lethal. Sorry about that, chat. I'm kind of sick today still, but I did very much mean to target my opponent there. And I'm talking about Kiora, and then I come back and then I forget. Hopefully I'm all better tomorrow. I'm feeling a lot better today. I'm still like pretty sniffly. I still have not been sleeping enough. Sorry that I've been, gone and then come back and I'm sick. I just feel so bad. Okay, we are up a game against Ensoul Artifact. I don't think I want to have Kroxas in against them. I do think I want some Pyroclasms. I'm not sure. I want some Charmaws. I'm not sure how many. I think let's try 2. What about Goryo's the new Kiora? I mean, I don't usually like to Goryo's 3 mana spells, but, something to think about. Let's go down to discard spell. Let's cut the Clings also, I think. Truman Arcanist seems okay. Play 3 Charmaws. Let's do this. Ward pay 7 is very similar to haste. Yeah. Paying 7 life does not seem like hexproof. Yeah, you are right. It is not hexproof. It's pretty good though. It's pretty powerful effect. But also, like in these big slow decks, it's very possible that it won't play that well. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just kind of saying the obvious things, but for me, I just don't know how well it's going to play, and I don't know if it's like going to be better than the other competition. And of course, that's like the really important thing. Is it better than your other options? I'm a Cleven with the 9 months. Thank you so much. Welcome back. 4 cards in their hand here. And Soul Artifact would be pretty juicy here. Imagine you pay 7 and your kill spell countered or stopped, and then imagine you pay 7 and get your kill spell countered or stopped, then you have to again. Yeah, like I think that the second copy is going to be like way better than the first one. Where you play 1, your opponent kills if they pay 7, and then you just cast the second copy, and then your opponent's at like 8 life, and they're like, oh no. Probably will have to crack this Bauble. Just get them to use the crypt on this. The word 7 is Soul Flare bait. I can see it now. I mean, the thing is, that card doesn't have haste. It doesn't have double strike. It's like, I don't even actually think it's a very good Soul Flare card. It's like not as good as like the dragon. It doesn't have hexproof. Yeah, it's kind of weird to say this card with like a million abilities isn't a good Soul Flare card, but it doesn't really read to me as a good Soul Flare card. Like the important ones are like haste and hexproof and double strike. Those are the really good keywords, and doesn't have any of those, right? One of the Thoughtseize post combat because I thought they would pop the crypt, so I think this like lets me get in for extra damage. Yeah, I can't get ward. Sorry, I pick your poison. That's true. Oh, it also can't get menace. Oh, isn't that awkward? Will there ever be a good dragon deck in Modern? Yeah, if they print good dragons. You know what I mean? It's like there's nothing at the moment that would make like any kind of good dragon synergies exist, but of course, if it's possible for them to print good dragon synergies. I think I want to discard the FOMO for extra type here. Like, but you know, they would just a lot would change, but you know, anything's possible. They could print a Dragon Storm Enabler. That's probably their best top deck by a lot. And I did not draw a Charmaw. I also have no Jegantha this game because I brought in my Charmaws. Yeah, I like the new Kiora. I think that card's got some potential. So my opponent is going to be able to block 2 of my 2-power creatures and then survive. So I'm gonna need to top deck something. Yeah, Murktide is a dragon. That's true. So this grows my Goyfs to 3 power. I don't get Delirium for FOMO. These are 3 power. My opponent goes block, block, block. Take 2. I'm not really sure what my plan is against the Shadow Spear. It may just be game 3, unfortunately. Just lose to this top deck, but it's okay. Yeah, if they printed like an Eldrazi, like a Dragon Temple, like Eldrazi Temple for dragons, that would be pretty cool. Does Channeler and Murktide count? Channeler doesn't become a dragon, right? Just gains flying. Wait, you're not making a second construct? What did you draw? Kappa? It must be Kappa Cannoneer. Oh, and Soul Artifact. What's the new Kiora? Okay, so the new Kiora is a 3-mana 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, you draw 2 cards, you discard 2 cards. And then when you attack with it, if you have Threshold is okay, right on time. Oh my gosh. Not actually right on time. Because this is indestructible. Threshold is having 7 or more cards in your graveyard. If you have Threshold, then you get to make an 8/8 legendary token. Is the token... I don't think the token is tapped or attacking, though. Which is maybe a problem. I don't think that we can get there this game, but we're definitely not getting there by not just like YOLOing here and seeing what happens. Probably gonna have to go to game 3. I think I'm gonna play the 4th Charmaw over the 2nd Pyroclasm on the play. It's not attacking, thank you. Yeah, and so I mean that card just has a lot of synergy with Arena of Glory. It seems like it could be good in some of the Hollow One shells that have been doing well, that we've been having some success with. So I'm pretty open to working on this card. We will see though. I really don't know what our path to victory is, especially if they move the spear over. Was blow up our own land for Delirium an option? Yeah, it might have been. That might have been an option. I don't think it would have won us this game here, but I think that was actually the better line. I just didn't have it in me to see it. All right, game 3 on the play. Let's go. Loot 2 on a 3/2 body can easily come with 8. It sounds great for Frogtide or Goryo. Maybe for me, I'm really thinking that I am unlikely to want to play that card unless I have Arena of Glory in my deck. Alright, so I think I'm going to go Blood Crypt into Mountain. I want to Thoughtseize on turn 1 so I can set up for turn 2 Arcanist and start like flashing stuff back to take over the game, potentially. And then also like with the looting, like the looting is just like, you know, very good with a lot of the other Arena of Glory cards like Detective's Phoenix. I kind of feel like that's the direction you want to go, but obviously we have some time to figure it out. It's got to be the drum. I haven't played this meta for a bit. Is Blood Moon still well positioned? So Boros Synergy is like stock main deck Blood Moon, probably forever, for the foreseeable future at the very least. And this is because the deck doesn't really have any other good way to interact with combo and big mana, and Blood Moon is like their best option. You just side them out and like they grind your matchups for the most part. And so, like, this dynamic of a lot of Blood Moons being in the main deck of that deck, to some extent, it, like, reduces how good your Blood Moons are, like, in general, which is it's kind of a weird dynamic, I guess. This is kind of a weird turn. I think I'm going to play my Channeler. Probably taking the Ensoul Artifact. Graveyarding the Fear of Missing Out for sure. Alright, we'll take the Kappa Cannoneer. If the Ensoul Artifact, our Unholy Heat lines up pretty well against it at the moment. We really want my opponent to not draw an untapped land. That one's a bit awkward. So I messed up on my Thoughtseize. Kind of need to find... I mean, even second Unholy Heat doesn't do it because of the ward. They didn't top deck this Tormod's Crypt. We were in very good shape. So now my hope is my opponent crypts me in response to this. And of course they don't. Because why would they? All right. Tough. And Soul Artifact too good. I don't know. You know what? I will commit to trying some standard when it comes out. Although, like, I don't think I'm on the Arena pre-release list anymore. You just don't show up for 3 years to the Arena pre-release and they take you off the list. But I would play it if I was back on there, maybe. Even Popper? Yeah, there's not exceptions to my statement. I hope every Magic format is as good as possible. Of course, I don't have, except your favorite format. It's healthy equals taste bad. Otherwise, no, I like the taste of kombucha, but I am only drinking it because I'm sick. I probably should just drink one every day, but they're kind of expensive. Probably take a whir. Yeah, we need to draw like Land Inquisition or something. Maybe we can cheese a victory with the Goyfs. Not drawing a fetch land's pretty tough. GF makes yourself, so can you and yours. Yeah, maybe. So next turn we could go Haste, Fear of Missing Out. Hopefully draw a card that gives me an extra type in the yard. And then attack for... Yeah. Okay, they don't have untapped land for Whir. That actually makes things so much easier. Crispy with the 30 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Best thing they did for Standard was the larger rotations. Surprise, more sets has resulted in multiple archetypes being able to exist together. Yeah, I'm optimistic. I really hope that it is better this way. Baby, it's better this way. All right, so I'm going to discard the Fear of Missing Out. Land. Okay, we did draw the land. So if I Unholy Heat, my opponent commandeers, they'll have instant creature artifact in the yard. As far as I can tell, that does not mean that they can kill anything with the Unholy Heat. Oh wait. I could tell wrong because it still should count my delirium, right? Or does it? Okay, Judge, if my opponent commandeers Unholy Heat, does it care about my graveyard or their graveyard? I can't. I think it's actually theirs because they control it. They gain control, so it should be their graveyard, right? Anonymous with the 29 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Appreciate you. Crispy with the 30. Narwhal with the 3 years. Happy triple anniversary. Seems like just yesterday. Looking forward to Image 2. Ah, yeah, what a time. Should be theirs. Okay. All right, I'm gonna appeal if this is wrong. Now my opponent is asking the judge. All right, let's go. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it was like one thing is we don't really have enough sideboard cards for this matchup. I've been liking to leave in a bunch of Unholy Heats for Tamashi, but also like we went on turn 4 really often, and we have a lot of discard spells, and I feel like this dynamic just probably means we don't need to really like do too much more on the sideboard. A second needle could be good though. Second needle could be good. In the end, Arcanist is better than Raptor. Yeah, I think so. It's just like Arcanist lets you sequence your turns more intentionally, and then Arcanist is better against Boros because it has 3 toughness and lets you employ a sideboard plan built around Pyroclasm, which is a very nerdy way of saying, yeah, I think it's better, I guess. Baby, it's better, I guess. It's a... I was trying to... Sometimes you could rhyme that with 1-3 somehow, but I can't improvise as well as usual. All right, we're Thoughtseize in turn 1. They do have a Bloom. They have only one other land. This has not been going super well for me, this discard their only land strategy, but we're going to try to save this Cling to Dust for the Lotus Bloom. Well, I guess that won't actually... No, we could respond to the Chamashi, exile it. Yeah, they just rip the land every time. We could have been a 1-3 together. Was that it? Maybe that was it. I'm going to Fear of Missing Out, discarding the Tarfire. I don't want to haste yet. I might double haste next turn. Well, I probably won't because we're going to want to hold up the Cling. So I think because next turn we want to go Cling Channeler, we don't Bauble. I'm going to Bauble. We don't hit my land drop. All right, land. The problem in Standard, though, is since card design has gotten so samey, there will only be one aggro, one control, one mid-range deck so playable. That's no matter how many sets you add. I mean, that was not my experience when I played some Standard earlier this year for MagicCon Chicago. I would say that that was very much not my experience, but thank you for the feedback. I don't know. Like at the very least with mid-rangey decks, there were a lot of viable mid-range decks by my estimations. And now the problem is my opponent did just draw land, so my plan of clinging the Lotus Bloom, I guess, just doesn't even really work. Oh, they're not even tapping out for it. Well, it doesn't really work, so I think I need to cycle this. Do I have lethal somehow if I go Fear of Missing Out Nethergoyf? Definitely not if my Goyf is smaller because I exiled my land. I think I'm just going to graveyard this. You can respond to Tamashi being cast. So the problem is they could just cast Tamashi off blue, and then they could sack the Lotus Bloom for white. I cling to Dust the Bloom in response to activation, and they just activate again. Unless wait, sorry, I guess I should have double checked. Tamashi is not only a sword. Oh, it is only a sorcery. Fuck. Sorry about that. Oh yeah, Goyf also can't have haste. Next week I'll have defeated the brain fog. I'll have drank enough kombucha to focus for a match of Magic. Drawing an Inquisition is very helpful though. Clean with Tamashi on the stack also works. The spell, Tamashi, not the ability. Well, the problem was I thought they were just going to cast it, then sack for the white. Spike, you know why so silly? Dude, I've been sick. My dog has got sprayed by a skunk. I have not been sleeping. It has been rough out here. I tell you what, it has been so rough out here. We've washed our couch like 3 or 4 times, and it still smells. Because they're taking a nap. I've been sleeping, but it's just I'm right now. I'm like recovering and catching up, and I'm on the upswing. I woke up kind of late today, feeling more rested, but I still just have a sleep debt I gotta pay, and we'll get out of it. It's okay. Okay, so I don't want to haste my Arcanist because my opponent has a counterspell, but I'll just trade this for a counterspell. The dog still stink? Thankfully, no. Athena being a husky, it was very hard to get the smell out of her fur. And she does not like to take baths. She usually is very clean, and she'll like clean herself like a cat, and she's just like a wonderful little princess. But she does not like getting scrubbed down with hydrogen peroxide 3 times. So I think I want to try to haste this Fomo. The second flare. Sorry, was this the flare, or they the thing is they shoaled, so I thought they didn't have another flare. I might just be misremembering the board. I think that it was they only had the shoal as the note info, and that we got through the first flare. Either way, we should be in pretty good shape now. Where if my opponent top decks Belcher, they are dead to Hasty, Fear of Missing Out, even if they counter my Nethergoyf. I'm interested in figuring out a plan that allows us to play some sudden edicts in the sideboard and maybe a second. I guess we have to go to 5. Maybe a second Pithing Needle. What makes a good challenge deck? I mean, decks that are interesting to watch. So we could go down a Damping Sphere. I don't know how important the Charmaws are. You know, when we played against Eldrazi earlier, like we won game 1 and then we lost our sideboard games. Not sure exactly how telling that is. Yeah, Edict is so you have an answer to Leyline Scion, which at the moment I think is a pretty big weakness of ours, is Leyline Scion. Okay, I have Delirium. And what's nice about Sudden Edict is that they can't Stubborn Denial if they go Leyline with or Scion with Stub up. Did -1 Sphere, -1 Charmaw, and went 2-0 versus Eldrazi last FNM. Yeah, drawing, like, I mean, you're happy to draw as many Charmaws as you can, but and it can be kind of awkward to draw 2 copies early. You just can't cast them till turn 3. I was even thinking about, so like one card I tested in this list earlier is the 3-mana Shatter Assumptions. Discard all colorless cards. It's a little slow. Multi 5 against Jeskai is tough, but the Jeskai matchup overall is probably like okay. Charmaws have not felt like a haymaker for current Eldrazi decks. They are way more resilient to land destruction. Yeah, I agree. I mean, they're good in the matchup. But it's I'm not sure exactly how popular the Eldrazi decks are overall, and I'm not sure if exactly. I think probably what you're trying to say and what I'm trying to say is that it doesn't exactly feel like we're getting that many percentage points from them, and we lose Jegantha in the matchup, which is like a kind of a small thing, but it's a thing. I think I just want to main phase and try to get the extra type here. We're just not winning a longer game because we multi 5 against Jeskai. I really hope my locals don't discover Shadow Assumptions, and I'd rather face those 4 consign Sinkhole sideboards from Dimir Frog. Yeah. Oh, you'd rather face 4 consign 4 Sinkhole sideboards. That's interesting. I mean, so like one thing to choose work like a 19-lane deck, so like 3-mana cards, it can be like a little awkward. Tron, Eldrazi Tron player, you should 100% play Blood Moon instead. Maybe. So, like, Blood Moon, I think, is not very good against the Utopia Sprawl builds. Oh, gnarly dress down. Yeah, just gonna be dead to the Hasty Flage. And so one thing is Blood Moon is not that good against the Utopia Sprawl builds. It is pretty good against the Tron builds. The Tron builds are not as popular as the Utopia Sprawl builds. And then if we cut the spheres and we play Blood Moons, we are going to be a lot weaker against Storm. Like, I think it's very important to have like this as like anti-Titan, anti-Storm. Damping Sphere is also better against Titan than Blood Moon is, just because Blood Moon is too slow when you are on the draw, which is such a pain. All right, I think this is our sideboard plan. Yeah, I agree the Sprawl builds don't care much about the Charmaws, so maybe Shatter Assumptions is the better card. If only like I guess maybe if we play like a second Needle on the board too, that could be kind of nice. I was mainly kidding. I'm less afraid of Blood Moon than Sphere. I see. I mean, I'm not bringing in Sphere against Tron builds at the moment, or sorry, against Utopia Sprawl builds. I might bring them in against Tron. Sorry. But against the Utopia Sprawl builds, I don't think I'm bringing them in. What does this deck do against Leyline of the Void? Lose mostly, or win game 1 and then win one of the cyber games where they don't draw Leyline of the Void. Leyline of the Void is also not a card you can probably expect to play against very often, maybe once every 20 matches or so, and once every 20 matches losing to a relatively obscure sideboard card feels like a relatively acceptable rate. I'm going to go ahead and play my Kroxa so I have Delirium here, and then we can set up for the Hasty Kroxa at some point. As Red Green Eldrazi, I don't really care about Blood Moon or Dampings for most of the time. Yeah, I mean, it's mostly Consign that's good against them, or just like racing them is really the answer. Like if you just have an aggressive draw against them and they don't have Kozilek's command, or you discard their Kozilek's command, you can just run them over, which is kind of what happened earlier today. They boarded in Consign. No Withering Torment in the board. Okay, that's the destroy target enchantment card. No, like, it's like, again, like, you are probably not going to see a Leyline in maybe once every 20 matches. An opponent will board in Leyline against you right now. And when they do bring in Leyline against you, a lot of the times it's going to be kind of surprising that it happened. Like, I think I don't want to commit a second Channeler right now, especially with a Arena of Glory in my hand. But a lot of the times it happens that your opponent Leylines you, it's going to be a little surprising. Like, you're going to be like, oh, I didn't know if you would have Leyline in your sideboard. You're living it. I didn't know if you were going to be on Leyline over Endurance. Your Hollow one, I didn't know if you're going to be Leyline over Nihil Spellbomb. And then when you get got by it, you don't always have Withering Torment in your board. Withering Torment is not going to beat Leyline a lot of the time. It's a very slow card. You have to draw it at the right time. Maybe that's not that important. But I think, like, the combination of all of these things makes it to where it's like, you shouldn't play it, like, especially if you're only going to see it against it very rarely. Yeah, still think I want to well, yeah, I don't want to haste the Channeler, because then I can't haste the Kroxa as a follow-up. Finally caught your stream. Big fan of the YouTube videos. I've been playing the Jund Ghoul Delirium deck with Fomo and Flytrap, been great. League records have been not great, but that's a skill issue. I've been playing 2 Oliphant, 2 Ints with 1 Woodland, and it's 1 card to bestow Phoenix 3 times later in the game and wondering about them. I mean, I'm a big hater of those cards. It's a card we've talked about a lot, and you know, it's fine to talk about some more. Obviously it has their upsides, right? The upsides of being one card for Phoenix is really nice. But the deck can just not afford to play that many tap lands. And in fact, you're like pretty upset if you have to fetch a Surveil land in the early game. You really need to play a 1 mana spell on turn 1, a 2 or 2 1-drops on turn 2, or a 2 mana on turn 2, like every single game. It is when you have to Surveil, you're not that happy. You want to Surveil like the mid to the late game. It's important to fetch them. But, like, if you're, like, having to do your Surveillance early, it's just, I think it's so bad. I think it's really something the deck cannot afford, especially not to play that many. Shifting Woodland is also okay. I think I would play the 4th Arena of Glory probably before the 1st Woodland. Okay, so my opponent has Snare, Dress Down. I guess we're going to play this Channeler. I think I'm going to Surveil off my Mire, or maybe hold up Spellbomb against a Lockdown instead of Crack This Map. Yeah, I would play the 4th Arena before the 1st Woodland. And then the Street Wraiths also, they really help with the Phoenix Fuel. Okay, so yeah, I don't want to be wanting to escape this Kroxa that aggressively into my opponent having the Snare, I suppose. Let me just see what we Surveil. Abs with the 4 months. Thank you, welcome back. Appreciate you. So let's keep that on top. It's a bit weird, right? Because my opponent may Dress Down in combat, and they also have the Snare. So I think I'm not sure if they're going to use Dress Down or Snare. I think I would prefer for them to use the Snare, obviously, because I have this Kroxa. But I'm going to try to bait it here. They do go for the Dress Down instead. There's a Dreadhorde Arcanist on top. Let's keep that one on top. It does eat the Snare, but I mean, I can potentially just escape a Kroxa, no Arena of Glory. They also have to draw a Sweeper or a Ring here pretty badly. Try 4th Arena and see how it goes. I haven't tried Street Wraith. Yeah, Street Wraith is just so much. It's just 0 mana. And it also helps with Delirium, like in response. Sometimes you go like fetch, Channeler, Bauble, Surveil another type into the yard, and your opponent Bowmaster is targeting Channeler. You can just cycle Wraith in response and then have Delirium and your Channeler lives. Gator with the 28 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Appreciate you. Yeah, I'm going to go use the restroom. But yeah, Snare still works on Escape Kroxa. Going to game 3, I would love to keep a 7-card hand against Jeskai for once in this match.
What's up? It's me, your friend, Aspiring Spike.
Maybe I should have put Jegantha in my hand instead of casting Fomo on an earlier turn. Gotta go to 6, I think. No 7 cards for me today. Thank you. Can you imagine if Flourish was legal? I know, dude. I like that Arena of Glory. I like that too. They're drawing an archive. I'll take Spell Snare here. Thank you very much. So we want to bubble ourselves to see if we want to crack our fetch or play the Bloodstained Mire. And then we want to see what they're drawing, so we have the best info about the Thoughtseize, of course. Interesting that they should almost have definitely played the archive, I think. I'm a little unsure about Thoughtseizing Teferi versus Thoughtseizing the One Ring. Teferi is very good against Dreadhorde Arcanist. And then I potentially stop them from doing anything the next turn. The problem is I just can't beat the ring, so I'm going to take the ring. Not rocket science. It's got to be Teferi. I don't think so. It's just like... my hand just doesn't have a plan for the ring. So. Wait, and I can play another Nethergoyf and pressure the Teferi. Next turn I can play front half of Kroxa and Arcanist. Breaking up plus Arcanist sounds kind of hot. I mean, it sounds like pretty, like, self-defeating almost, right? Where it's like, Breakout means you have to have, like, mostly, like, creatures they can put into play of Breakout. Arcanist needs, like, 16 spells to flash back. I just don't really know how you are going to be able to have both. Alright, so I guess we crack the fetch to make them crack the Spellbomb to save the Teferi. And then we keep this to kill the Teferi. Well, I guess that kind of owns me, them not using the Nihil Spellbomb. Kind of shocked that they wouldn't use it, though. Never thought I'd see a modern Goyfin Snapcaster back cards officially old. Tune in tomorrow, you might see some Snapcasters. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Okay. Well, I'm glad they didn't pop their Spellbomb. Exploring Grixis Wizards tomorrow. I'll be doing your pet deck. So I'm probably gonna try to play Wilderness Reclamation with Brain Surge tomorrow. We're gonna test it tonight and see if it makes a stream as usual, of course. I'm gonna put Jegantha in here. Yeah, I think maybe casting Jegantha was better instead of casting the 1/3. Yeah, maybe. My opponent says I'm an idiot. You know, you're not the first person to type that that to me today. That is our second opponent who has gone, I'm an idiot in the chat. I too am recovering from Vegas. Thanks for showing up today. Thanks, Dade. I mean, for me, honestly, Vegas was great. I had so much fun. It was really refreshing. And then I come home and my house reeks of skunk. It was tough. What Snappy deck is being played tomorrow? Well, I'm going to test some Wilderness Reclamation decks off stream tonight. What I really want to do, and is something that I've tried to build and will never really work, but what I want to do so badly is Kozilek's Command. Kozilek's Command, Wilderness Reclamation. My heart yearns for Kozilek's Command, Wilderness Reclamation. But there are some dreams that cannot be. And there are some storms we cannot weather. And I'm going to go ahead and escape the Kroxa and try to get them hellbent. If they get lost my Kroxa, that's a win for me. I don't know why they're an idiot. So they didn't crack their Spellbomb before they temporary lockdown. But they're not an idiot. They just made a little mistake in a match of Magic the Gathering. Is this Jund? Yeah. We have green. We have green. Snapcaster might be in the rec deck, but what about Tasker? Four of your pet cards for sure. Dude, Tasker plus like Fnatic run. Wait, they... Okay, and then they discard the Get Lost on accident, and... Alright, we're gonna... Let's do a 4-1 prediction. This deck has been nice. This deck has been really nice. Like, weirdly great. It's given me Rakdos Luris vibes from back in the day. We're only playing Nethergoyf as an MH3 card. Arena of Glory too. Duh. Never mind. Of a land. And so there's one that sacrifices itself for mana. That one I don't think is good. And then there's one that's not modern legal. That lets you play creatures as though they were instants. But I like spending 3 mana to give your stuff flash is like, what are we doing here? Alright, this hand needs a discard spell. But I'm gonna play to draw a discard spell, I think. Which I think is play Goyf on turn 1. Yeah, Winding Canyons, thank you. So I did try to like figure that out. I don't think I'm gonna Alchemist Refuge, Wilderness Reclamation, Eldrazi anytime soon, unless I just become very deranged overnight. How down am I on Ragavan? I mean, Ragavan is a somewhat playable card. I think it's suboptimal in this list. I'm very off of it here, I think. Arena of Glory. So they chose a Flare of Denial. My opponent might flare this Goyf. Okay, I'm going to attack, and then I can hit a Tarfire or a Fomo to grow the Goyfs into something that kills the Arcanist, which I think I'll do off of a Surveil. Instead of casting a Channeler. Esther with the 40 months, thank you, sweetie, love you. Yeah, I looked at Vivian. I was in there yesterday, I promise. I think we graveyard that. Obviously, we could surveil something else to the Yard for Channeler, but we could also just draw something else to help us enable Delirium. Also, the Kroxa makes the Goyfs 3 power, which should help some. Sacron Scepter Born put in the win. How did I miss that? It's the Pinted Prism? Okay. I feel like Pinted Prism I haven't seen too much in these lists lately. Let's Thoughtseize. Well, yeah, I'm probably going to go Thoughtseize Kroxa instead of flashing back the Thoughtseize with Arcanist. Unless they flare. If they flare, then we'll flash back. Which does shrink the Goyfs, and they could have been 4 power instead, but my opponent could go like Whir plus Tamashi and win the game next turn. Is there really a need for a better payoff in the rec deck than Nexus of Fate? Well, I mean, Kozilek's command is like really crazy. it's like Kozilek's command Reclamation has got to be like somewhat good, right? All right, this is just an easy Belcher, and hope they don't draw a Whir. Yeah, they can play Tamashi, and then they can get back Belcher the following turn, but that might be too slow. Am I sick of Belcher yet? Belcher is the kind of deck I really love to be a popular deck. I usually enjoy most games against it. I'm enjoying this game right now. I think it is a very refreshing kind of top deck to have. I think it might be the best deck. Yeah, I saw Urza's Battlethopter. There's actually a commander like Eldrazi that looks like kind of solid, that is kind of similar to Urza's Battlethopter that gives everything flash. But yeah, I do think like Kozilek's command in a rec deck could be just so sick, but like facilitating it seems so difficult. Kozilek's command, I completely understand that's interaction, not a payoff. I think it's both. It's like, I think it's both. Belcher seems very strong and won a top 4 ever challenge this weekend. Yeah, no, I think it is the best deck in Modern. At least at the moment. Pew Pew, 34 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Maybe Gen Delirium. I think Gen is pretty good, but Belcher deck is great. Maybe play a lot of Pain lands to get that colors close. Yeah, I don't know. I've never played Kozilek's Command without Eldrazi Temple or Ugin's Lab. I did one with no Eldrazi Temple, but just Tron lands too. Wilderness Reclamation Tron. So here we're going to want to Kroxa and Thoughtseize. I think we Kroxa first to give them less info on what they're discarding. Obviously, Thoughtseize is an incredible top deck. Oh, okay. Do I want to bounce the Seagate? Or yeah, yeah, we want to get rid of the Seagate because my opponent can top deck Belcher and kill me with it. All right, so they take 5 down to 7. Felix for 26 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Appreciate you. Wilderness Wreck with Belcher. Belcher leagues. I mean, Wreck could get against Belcher. I mean, it's just a pile of counter spells. You know, you can fight the good fight. Suppression Ray. Which one is this? 5 mana. Tap any amount of creatures, pay any amount of energy. Okay. So let's go haste our channeler. Hoping to get Delirium off the Bauble. Not quite. But I think they're dead anyways. We put them to 4. Yeah, they should be dead. Do you think there'd be any modern playables and foundations? Yeah, I've seen some cards I think are playable already. Let me sideboard real quick. Would Burn be good against Belcher? Maybe. Their mana base is very painful. Burn is like unwinnable against Boros and probably bad against Dimir and bad against Titan. And bad against Storm. Bad against Goryo's and bad against Eldrazi. Maybe okay against Eldrazi. Probably fine against Eldrazi. Probably favored against Eldrazi. Yeah, it's just renting 3 sudden edicts. I feel like I want to just cut the Charmaws. The Charmaws have I just don't think they give us enough win percentage points. And then I was also thinking while I was in the bathroom that sudden edict is also very good against Dimir. And we can the second needle in the sideboard is something we can bring in against Eldrazi and Belcher, which is something like I want an extra sideboard card for Belcher, and just the second needle for the ring seems kind of nice anyways against Eldrazi. Alt win cost of 28. Thank you. Welcome back. Main deck Tome of the Spirit Dragon. That's pretty tough. What are the hardest decks for this deck to beat? It's been Domain Zoo has been probably the toughest, so we're adding some sudden edicts to the board. What about Cleansing Wildfire? I mean, Wildfire's just not that good against. I mean, maybe against the Utopia Sprawl builds. I think I'm just okay to like say we're gonna try to race the Eldrazi decks, which you do sometimes. We're gonna lose. We're gonna just maybe be slightly bad into that matchup, which I think is also okay. To say, of all the top decks, we just are not sideboarding as many cards for Eldrazi, which is a matchup that is still pretty winnable, and a matchup that is popular but not so popular. It's like mandatory to side against. Just feels like an okay strategy. Well, easy bottom non-lands, I think. Flare of Denial. Yeah, I agree that Wildfire is good against Belcher. I mean, we could play 1 Wildfire, 1 Needle. I don't know if this split is something that's like super good. I'll do a video for Foundations, but yeah, I do think there are some playable cards. So this is Archaeologist and not Trainer, which means I can't kill it with Tarfire. They hit a Whir and or Lotus Bloom. They choose the Whir. And they have a Belcher on top, which is definitely a good card to know about. Okay, so I'm going to, I think mostly look for Arena of Glory. Yeah, I think if I had Arena of Glory, I could keep that, but I want to be able to haste a Kroxa in 2 turns, like just cast one next turn, haste it the following turn. If Surgical? Yeah, Foundation drops pretty soon, in like 2 weeks, I think. Could maybe keep that. I think we're gonna have enough surveils. We can try to dig for the arena. Okay, so they have Flare, 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 Flare. Land, Whir. Their top card is Goblin Charbelcher. They have a Lotus Bloom and Suspend. So I think I'm going to take the land and then try to Thoughtseize the Whir. Take Whir. I mean, maybe, but like at the moment they won't have land number 3 to activate the Belcher, and we may be able to pressure them. And the problem is like I can't reliably Thoughtseize. I can't reliably Thoughtseize the Belcher next turn because of the Flare. So I feel like I'm just supposed to attack the mana in this spot. So now I've drawn this, and I don't know how to feel. So let's Inquisition first and trade for a Flare. Wow. That's not exactly what I meant. That's not exactly what I meant. Do we think our opponent knew that was Inquisition and not Thoughtseize? So trade for a Flare. I'm sorry about all this coughing. Hopefully I'll be better tomorrow. I'm doing a lot better today than yesterday. So they had a Whir or a Flare, or sorry, Whir or Suppression. They choose Whir. So we Tarfire. My opponent is going to be able to flare my first Kroxa, so I think we just don't escape. Although now we just heat the Archaeologist and then escape the Nethergoyf instead. Can I post my Soul Flare Sire of Seven Sins Brew? You can, under the condition that you sell me on Sire of Seven Sins and Soul Flare. Because as far as I can tell, that card is not a good Soul Flare card. It doesn't have Hexproof, it doesn't have Double Strike, it doesn't have Haste. And those 3 abilities are by far the most important for a Soul Flare. So I don't foresee that card really making any sense in Soul Flare, despite people being excited for it. And I'm not trying to take away from your excitement. But to post it, you must sell me on the card of the archetype, because I don't really think it makes sense. Blakey with the 38, Smooch with the 42, Chromus with the 27. Thank you all so much. Feel better soon. I will do my best. So my opponent decides to not flare this. Yeah, like it has 7 keywords, but those keywords just are not that good. Also, you don't get Menace on Soul Flare. So it's really only 6. I also don't get the Ward. Okay, so 4-1 this league. Our record with this Arcanist deck is pretty insane so far. Let's run it back this time with no Charmaws, 3 Edicts, Second Needle,